Now, welcome to another edition of News from Naboo with Thor's Lightning Takes. And let's get right to the news.
Okay, I want to talk about the Mandalorian and Grogu movie. We know we're getting a trailer for Celebration. It's written in stone. There's no way we're not.
Well, yeah, it's not written in stone, but
It's
it
in
is written
stone.
in stone.
I wrote it in carbonite. I'm so short.
All right.
I wrote it in
From Beskar,
Beskar.
I knew you were going to go there.
Okay, so a couple things we kind of inadvertently may have found out about the movie. First off, Katee Sackhoff was doing Katee Sackhoff type things.
She has a podcast.
She has a
like
podcast.
everybody else who's
She
remotely
goes
famous.
to conventions, which is where
She
this
does, yeah.
actually comes from. People were asking her out of curiosity when, the last time she put on her Bo-Katan armor was. As we know, she was kind of almost the star of Mandalorian Season 3. Not that she was bad. It's just,
No.
it's a little jarring when they swap main characters, kind of.
Kind of did, yeah. Well, I mean, it was still Din. It was kind of the Din and Bo show, or maybe the Bo and Din show.
Bowden.
Bowden, yes.
Even though we can't ship them.
I mean, we
It's
could,
wrong.
can't we?
It's wrong.
Why is it wrong? There's
Aren't they,
actually no
like-
reason not to.
I thought their age differences were huge.
No.
Because he was like a child when she was
Well,
fighting
I
in the
mean,
Clone Wars.
Yeah, but not like their actor.
No,
actress
I'm not
age.
saying that's
I know.
what's off. I'm saying their in-universe characters' ages should be like 20 years apart in age, roughly.
Maybe not quite that much. More like 15-ish.
It's a little hefty.
Yeah, but their actors are, or the actresses are like the same
Around the
age,
same
I think.
age.
Yeah.
Well, she was asked when was the last time she put her armor on.
I thought she was just asked, like, was she in the movie? And she had a kind of clever response.
Yeah, maybe that's what they asked.
Yeah,
That
I think they
sounds
just
better.
flat out asked her.
Yeah, were you in the Mando and Grogu movie? And she said, I've not put on the armor in 2025.
That doesn't mean anything, though.
And then
because
she grinned. She knows what those NDAs do, and she wasn't
She is
breaking
the-
them.
Yeah, she's the one who's famous for saying that they have badass NDAs. Yeah.
But that's a clever way to put it, because
It doesn't mean anything, yeah.
right,
one
because
way or
she
the other.
wouldn't have put it on in 2024 unless she was in a movie.
Well, in 2025, she wouldn't have put it on at
Well,
all.
no, she wouldn't have put it on at all because it was in post by November.
Yeah.
So
I mean, there could be reshoots this year, so she didn't do any reshoots in 2025. That we know.
Yet.
Unless she's lying. Which she...
No, she's not lying.
I don't think she's lying, no. I don't think she put on the armor this year, but that doesn't mean she didn't put it on last year. And it doesn't mean she did put it on last year.
Does she just put it on at home, though?
I would. If I had a suit of... I mean, I
Do you
don't
think they
she
let her
has.
take it with her? Here, you
Probably
get to
the
keep your
helmet.
Bo-Katan suit.
Probably something. They all take something.
They take it, but I don't think they're supposed to always take it.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely want a suit of Beskar if I were in any
It's
Star Wars.
not
I would
really
want all my
made
props.
out of Beskar, right?
What?
It's made of like polyfoam and stuff.
No, it's probably a little sturdier than that, but
I'm just saying.
no, I know. But if I were in Star Wars, whatever I used or wore, I would definitely want, and it would be on display. It would be
There would be a
prominence in
security
this home.
who just was there to watch you to stop you from taking things.
You would guard my stuff.
I would stop you from taking things.
Oh, you would what? If I were in Star Wars, you would tell on me. Is that what you're saying?
I do like the Vader of it all. So yeah, I would. I'd be like, no, he doesn't need that.
You would return it on me.
Yeah,
Ah,
because it'd be funny.
It wouldn't be funny. I'd probably get in trouble too.
Yeah. Okay, but no.
Yeah, we're off topic.
So she hasn't put on the armor in 2025, but she didn't mention 2024.
Yeah.
And if she did put it on in 2024, it would be shooting for a specific movie. So honestly, I wouldn't be surprised to see her cameo, even if it was just to be like, well, we called Bo-Katan for help, and she is busy ruling Mandalore.
Exactly. See, I kind of feel like she's done right now. Even in Mandalorian season 4 and beyond, I feel like they wrapped up. Yeah, they wrapped the whole thing up in Mandalore.
Right.
Not the whole thing, but you know what I mean.
They came home to their home planet, to Mandalore, and kind of rechristened her as the leader.
Yeah.
And
That's
she
it.
joined the tribes back together, and they're rebuilding their home.
Yeah.
That's all they need to be doing. She brought Mandalorians back to Mandalore, and she's rebuilding their culture. She's busy right now.
Yeah, she's not going to go run off and help Din against the Empire and the unknown regions or wherever the heck they're going to go in this movie.
Who knows?
To find Rada the Hutt. As soon as she's like, hey, I need help finding
He's
a
busy.
Huttling.
He's being a gladiator in a coliseum.
Who's not a Huttling anymore.
He's running around
buff.
shirtless, being buff, and being, I'm Rada!
I mean, most Hutts do run
Some
around.
call me Stinky.
Don't let Jabba hear that. He's going to get mad.
Oh. All right. Let's continue on in the vein of the Mandalorian and Grogu movie. We also found out what appears to be their production budget. This is production budget, not advertising budget and all that stuff. The reason we know it is because of the tax credit from the state of California, because they have to publish things like that. It's obviously tax time, and they need a report.
Yeah.
California gave them $21.75 million. towards their $166.4 million production budget.
That feels low.
Because it is low. It is very, very low. And I can tell you it's low because I can tell you what the production budget on every single Star Wars movie is.
And I suppose you're going to.
Yeah, it's interesting.
No, it is interesting. I was just giving you crap
Back
because you got to take
in
my props away.
1977, you could make A New Hope for $11 million.
Yeah, you can make Godzilla today for $11 million, apparently.
Episode 5, $18 million. Return of the Jedi was $32.5 million.
Ooh.
Yeah, back in the cheap days. I'm glad they splurged on that one.
Yeah, me too. It's a great movie.
Then we move on to the prequel trilogy era. Episode 1, $115 million. Episode 2, $115 million. Episode 3, $113 million.
Wow, cheapest.
It was the cheapest of the three.
Doesn't seem to make sense to me.
And then we move into The Force Awakens, which came out in 2015, $245 million.
I heard that's actually much higher than that, but...
Well, this is supposedly the alleged production budget. It does not include advertising, merchandising, all the extras that we know go into making a movie. But...
Still expensive. I mean, it is.
Yeah, it is very expensive. Yeah. I mean, it's over double the cost of the others. And you could make all three of the originals for a quarter.
A couple times, yeah.
Rogue One cost $200 million to make, and that's including all like the reshoots for their production budget.
Interesting.
Which we knew were bountiful.
We do. They kind of redid the movie.
You could even tell from the trailer that there was a scene in there that never materialized.
There were a couple, yeah.
Yeah. Moving into He Who Shall Not Be Named, the one that came out in 2017, I think The Last Jedi, something.
Yeah.
$317 million. It was the most expensive.
Wow, they spent all that money on that. Think of what they could have done. Solo
was $275 million.
And then also had big time production problems.
Rise of Skywalker, $275 million.
Okay.
Mandalorian and Grogu, $166.4 million. It is drastically cheaper than the other things they've made. It's a little more than half as much as The Last Jedi.
Seems like they're very cost effective on this because they're worried it's really not going to do all that well.
What honestly worries me the most about it is how much of the cost was reduced because did they use the volume heavy? Because Mando has always used the volume. So did they just kind of run with the normal sound stage and not really hype it up for movies?
You mean kind of buff it up?
Yeah, because going from small screen to big screen should inflate the budget quite a bit. And I don't have the numbers. I'm curious how much a single season of Mandalorian costs compared to one movie.
Yeah, I think the episodes are usually around 10 per, if I'm remembering right. So it's not even the...
So it's about half the cost to make a season as it is to make a movie? That still doesn't seem right.
It does and it doesn't. I mean, The Mandalorian looks okay. It doesn't look movie quality. I think it looks
this
okay.
Needs to look movie quality.
No, I agree because there's a lot of people who expect Star Wars to look exceptional. And if they're kind of skimping, I think that's going to turn a lot of people off.
I feel like the volume is our greatest achievement and our greatest failure.
I think it is, yeah. Because it looks good sometimes and other times it sticks out like a sore thumb.
Season 1 of Mandalorian, I didn't really notice it. I thought a couple of scenes may have felt a little small or off, but I didn't really notice it. Kenobi is what killed the volume.
Yeah.
Because everything looked tight and cramped and small. It's because they were just using a small soundstage with the volume and just shoving as much in as they could and just changing the camera angles at times.
Yeah, well, I think one of the things that really shows on the volume is the lighting, especially when you're on a planet like Tatooine, where if you watch the movies when they're actually out in the Tunisian desert and you have real sunlight and sand and everything else, you can feel that. Whereas when they're on the volume, the light isn't there. It just does not feel the same.
It doesn't feel the same, but I understand from a production standpoint.
Yeah, you don't want to fly to
that we can't move the sun. And look, we missed our window to film this scene in, and we messed it up. Now we have to come back tomorrow at the same time and hope the weather patterns are the same. They can artificially manipulate that.
If George Lucas hadn't sold, he would have pushed the technology forward to move the sun when needed for filming. That was the next step.
I do wonder what he would think of the volume.
He's probably impressed by it. He probably wishes he had something like that when he wanted to do his TV show. But he probably also thinks it's... I don't know. I can't know what he would think about it.
It's an interesting piece of technology. It just has to be used the right way. And it sounds like they must have used it to make Mandalorian and Grogu. If that's the only reason I can even consider that the budget is so much smaller. Because this movie looked like it was supposed to get big.
Well, we kind of assumed it was going to be big budget, big movie, and now it feels like it's not a small budget.
Bringing Star Wars back to the big screen after years of its absence, it needs to be big. So despite the production value being smaller, the amount they spent being smaller, this movie still needs to be big.
Maybe they just actually were cost effective. I don't know.
That would kind of be good.
Yeah,
I would be okay with it as long as they were cost effective, but the movie turns out with the right quality and the great storytelling and the acting. It's fine if it's cheaper. In fact, that's probably a good thing.
It's probably a really good thing. Mm-hmm. I think they're used to just sparing no expense and whatever it costs and not really thinking about it.
You make 2 movies for the price of 1.
Yeah.
As long as the quality's there, that's fine.
Yeah, and so I think this time around they're like, okay, let's make sure we're not spending a ton of money on everything. Let's spend money where we need to and still make this look good. That's my hope anyway. Not that they're like, let's cut as many corners as possible. And
as long as the story is solid, that's the best thing.
Yeah.
And that they don't do weird things in it like the upcoming He-Man movie.
Oh, God. Don't talk to me about that.
Let's see, the Master of the Universe movie. Where did people get upset with it? That they brought it to Earth. What are they doing in this movie? They're starting on Earth.
Jeez. How do you make the same mistake? Exactly, Una. Yeah. Exactly.
Go to Eternia and stay there. That's what we don't want to see.
Yes, I don't want to see Earth in my He-Man.
He-Man doesn't live on Earth. He lives on Eternia.
Yes. I don't know how they're making the same mistake again. I don't know how.
Now I want to watch that movie.
Do you? I'll watch it with you anytime.
I love that movie.
You like Masters of the Universe too?
Yeah?
How do I not know this?
Dolph Lundgren, I have the power.
No, he's not.
No, I'm kidding. No, I always loved that movie.
Okay, you did sound a little bit like him.
Exactly. It has the girl who eventually became Monica from Friends is in it.
Yes, Courtney Cox.
And she lost her parents to an accident, and in the end they save her parents because she goes back in time and she grabs the keys and she gets a little boyfriend along the way. So there's a cute human story. I get that. Maybe they thought humans couldn't relate to an Eternian story. I don't know. Got Gwildor playing his magical thing. Whatever. Yeah. So yeah, I know, and I enjoyed the He-Man. I like most campy, weird movies like that. Flash Gordon is my thing. The Guyver is my thing. You know I love those movies.
No, I know. I just didn't know you really liked it. I thought it was just something you would tolerate for me.
You used to think I would tolerate Star Wars for you until you saw pictures of my bedroom when I was a kid and I had a Darth Maul poster on my wall.
I didn't know, okay? How was I supposed to know I'm the luckiest man on Earth?
Yeah, you just thought that I was putting up with Star Wars because you didn't believe I actually liked it, that I liked it because I thought you would like it. And then my mom's like, look at these pictures, ha 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 ha. And they're like, there's a Darth Maul poster right next to her Sailor Moon calendar.
It was Obi-Wan and
That's why I'm Sailor Naboo. Sailor Moon and Naboo.
Anyway, I think we're rambling again.
Yeah, that's your fault.
Yep.
Got me talking about He-Man. Well, I actually started it.
Got you talking about He-Man.
He-Man.
Now we're going to have to go watch Masters of the Universe.
I used to own that She-Ra cartoon. We had the little Crystal Palace toy. Like, we had the whole toy, the whole Crystal Palace with She-Ra. Like, they were like Barbie doll type things, and we played with them all the time.
You know, there's a belief that She-Ra killed He-Man. That once girls started to play with She-Ra toys. Hey, don't look at me. That's what they actually think over at Mattel. That it kind of stole the power from He-Man, and the boys were like, it's girls now. I don't want to play with it.
You know, there's also a theory that somebody I know thought that He-Man and She-Ra should get married and have a relationship, and then I had to correct this person and tell them that they're brother and sister, that they were twins, separated at birth.
How are they supposed to know?
You've never watched enough. It's in the movies, or the show.
There's
a whole thing.
She-Ra.
There's a whole thing.
Yeah, I didn't really watch She-Ra.
That's why her sword is like his sword, because they're like the same thing.
I watched He-Man. I was one of those, She-Ra, I can't watch that.
Yeah, but the cartoon was better. You acknowledge it.
Yeah. Well, I watched all kinds of girls' cartoons, to be completely. My sister made me watch stuff like Gem and...
Gem was... I didn't say the thing, I know.
What? Gem was outrageous?
Yeah.
Ooh, Gem.
Gem is outrageous.
Yeah.
Good show.
I watched, my sister and we watched it daily together.
Aw, that's...
Yeah.
I watched all the cool stuff with my dad. Batman the Animated Series.
Why
Superman.
Are we still talking about this? Talking about 80s cartoons and 90s.
Yes, and then we moved to the Justice League. We watched the Hulk show, Silver Surfer, Fantastic Four, Spider-Man, that was our jam, X-Men.
X-Men is the greatest cartoon. Well, not in the... It's the greatest 90s cartoon.
My dad would record them and we'd watch them together. He had a VHS tape labeled Children's, and he'd set up the VCR to record all of our shows so we could watch them together. Because he wasn't there when I'd get home after school, and they'd come on, so we'd record them, and we'd watch them together.
On a VHS tape.
Yep, we'd watch them after dinner together, and then he'd rewind it, set it back up to record, and record to the next day.
Nice. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, I think that is going to be all we got for you this time. Now is your turn. Take to the comments below. Tell us what you think of any and all of today's news, and then all of the rambling as well.
Sorry.
And let's talk some Star Wars or some He-Man or whatever. And until next time.
She-Ra.
Thanks for watching. Like when you got to find the little guy at the end. What was his name? Or he'd be in a shot during the episode and you'd have to find him and then at the end they'd reveal it.
Loki.
Oh.
Yeah, because he was low key.